Good evening, Amerks fans, and welcome to the annual Rochester Americans Hall of Fame night as we induct the 53rd and 54th members into this exclusive club. The 57-year history of the Amerks franchise has been shaped by players on the ice, the coaches on the bench, the fans in the seats, and those that have told us all the stories. And tonight we honor two men who have made tremendous contributions and have given us lasting memories. One who captained a team to a Calder Cup championship, and another who brought us all closer to the Amerks for more than 4 decades. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please direct your attention to the video board overhead for a look back at Hall of Fame career of TV sports and news anchor Rich Funke.
Rich Funke, who recently retired from WHEC TV after a 44-year career in sports and news broadcasting, is a longtime supporter of the Amerks. He covered the team through 3 Calder Cup championships, including the 1987 finals, during which he served as a member of the Amerks television broadcast team alongside Hall of Famers John Bednarski and yours truly, Don Stevens. A 2-time winner of the American Hockey League's James H. Ellery Memorial Award for his outstanding contributions to the AHL by a media member in 1977 and 1986, Funke is considered a pioneer in Rochester sports broadcasting for expanding coverage of local teams and events, and is credited with convincing WHEC to pick up Amerks television broadcasts in the early 1980s. He was also a member of the team's original TV broadcast team. Funke has contributed to numerous charitable endeavors for the Amerks organization and Alumni Association, and as a charter member of the team's Hall of Fame committee, has been involved in honoring Amerks legends for nearly 30 years. Funke, a native of Batavia, New York, began his broadcasting career in Rochester at WHAM Radio in 1971 before moving on to WAXC Radio a year later. In 1974, Funke was hired as sports director at WHEC and, except for a 1-year stint in Miami, remained there until retiring this past December. Despite taking on full-time news anchoring duties in 2005, Funke remained actively involved in the Rochester sports community, particularly with the Amerks. Congratulations to Rich Funke, now a member of the Rochester Americans Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rich Funke. Rich, you can see none of us have aged since that video. Please welcome also, Rich is joined by his wife, Pat. And along also several former members of Rich's sports staff at News 10 NBC, including Rick Hager, Steve Hausman, Scott Smith, Todd Hayes, Ray Sullivan, Eric Johnson, Dave Overacker, and Steve Richards. Ladies and gentlemen, to present Rich with his Hall of Fame crystal statue, on behalf of the Rochester Americans, is Amerks Hall of Famer Jody Gage and Vice President of Business Operations, Rob Kopacz. That's beautiful. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, a new member of the Rochester Americans Hall of Fame. Please welcome, let's bring him up, Rich Funke.
Don, thanks so much. I'm incredibly thankful to the Amerks, the Hall of Fame Committee, and the Pagula family for this honor, and humbled by it, because those of us in sportscasting or in sports writing really don't think of ourselves as contributing to the success of a franchise. To us, we're just doing our jobs, and it's a team effort. And I am truly standing here because of the gentlemen who are standing behind me over there. Eric Johnson, Todd Hayes, Scott Smith, Rick Hager, Steve Richards, Dave Overacker, Ray Sullivan, Steve Hausman, Bill Pucko, Mark Gruba, all had a hand in our coverage at one time or another. The only thing that I ever asked of them was to never think of our pro teams or our city as minor league. Treat these players and treat this franchise in a big league fashion because that's what they deserve and that's the kind of town I think we live in. That's why we pushed to televise the games in the 80s when the Amherst won 2 Calder Cups and convinced an all-star defenseman named John Bednarski that he had what it took to be a great hockey analyst too. That's why we produced those American Dream specials after the Calder Cup championships. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a particular appreciation for hockey players and hockey parents because I'm an old hockey dad and a granddad too. Anybody who is eager to get up to be on the ice in a cold rink with the blades on at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning has something special inside them that will serve them well later in life, because this is a sport that requires commitment, appreciation for others, and humility. Believe me, for those of us in the media, it does not get any better than covering guys like Dane Jackson. We have been blessed here in Rochester to have been able to watch the greatest athletes and the greatest coaches in their sports grace this very ice on both benches on their way to stardom. And some of them were born here. We're blessed to have so many of those players come back and make their homes here in Rochester. The Amherst Alumni Association, led by guys like Jordy Robertson and Jim Hofford and Jody Gage, has to be one of the largest and the best in the AHL and does so many great things in our community on behalf of charity. We are blessed to have the Pegula family watching over hockey in both Rochester and Buffalo now. And we are blessed to have the greatest nickname and the greatest logo in all of sports. We are blessed to have the greatest booster club and the greatest fans in all of the AHL. So I continue to ask you to cheer these players on their way up. Please continue to support our local teams because they bring an unparalleled quality of life to the city that we love. On behalf of my wife, Pat, my colleagues, friends, and family, thank you for a night I'll never forget. Go Amherst!
What a class individual. Ladies and gentlemen, Rich Funky. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please once again direct your attention to the video board overhead as we recognize the outstanding career of former captain and Calder Cup champion Dane Jackson.
Dane Jackson, a native of Castlegar, British Columbia, played 5 seasons with the Amherst, starting from 1995 to 1998, and again 1999 to 2001, and served as team captain of Rochester's 1996 Calder Cup championship team. In 246 career regular season games with the Amherst, Jackson recorded 170 points on 83 goals and 87 assists, along with 410 penalty minutes. He also had 27 points and 75 penalty minutes in 36 career postseason contests. A third-round draft choice in 1988 by Vancouver, Jackson spent his first 3 professional seasons in the Canucks organization before signing with the Buffalo Sabres as a free agent in 1995. During the upcoming campaign, Jackson's first with the organization, he played in 50 games with the Amherst and was named captain of the team while recording 46 points on 27 goals and 19 assists. He also scored 9 points in 22 games with the Sabres. During the 1996 postseason, Jackson collected 10 points and 53 penalty minutes in 19 games while providing leadership and toughness during Rochester's run to its 6th Calder Cup championship in franchise history. Following a dramatic 2-1 home win over the Portland Pirates in Game 7 of the 1996 finals, Jackson became the first Amherst captain to raise the Calder Cup in Rochester since Larry Hillman in 1965. Jackson, who went on to play 4 more seasons with Rochester, currently ranks 36th all-time in scoring by a forward and is noted for his commitment to the Rochester community. In 1998, Jackson represented the Amherst at the All-Star Game and served as captain of the Canadian squad. The 42-year-old Jackson retired from professional hockey after spending his final 2 seasons with the AHL's Manchester Monarchs. He is currently in his 7th season as assistant coach at his alma mater, the University of North Dakota. Please join us in welcoming Captain Dane Jackson to the Rochester Americans Hall of Fame.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rochester, Dane Jackson. Dane is joined by his wife, Carrie. Welcome back to town. As Dane now receives his crystal sculpture from, once again, Jody Gage and Rob Kopacz. Ladies and gentlemen, Dane Jackson, now the 54th member of the Rochester Americans Hall of Fame. Come on up, Dane.
Well, thanks very much. It's going to be hard to follow Funk, pretty eloquent on the mic, but just my main sentiments, first of all, I want to say thank you to the whole Amerks organization and the committee for having me back. My wife, Carrie, and I are extremely excited to be back. And these brings back a flood of great memories being in this rink for sure. The main thing that my time that I remember of North Dakota, or excuse me, of being in Rochester was winning our Calder Cup championship in '96. I came here as a pretty young guy at 25, had a lot to learn, and I learned a lot from the veterans that were here, like Jody Gage, Dan Frawley, Scott Metcalf. I still was developing as a player and a leader, and to be part of, to becoming that part of that team under Coach Tortorella. And we went through a lot of adversity that year. We were not a very good team at Christmas time, and we kind of figured some things out with some tough conversations in that locker room and got pretty honest and figured out what it took to win. And there's a lot of sacrifices and good team players on that team. And to go to Game 7, I think it was about June 13th in this building when it was packed full and rocking. It was pretty exciting to be able to hoist that Calder Cup. It's something I will never forget. But most importantly, I think in addition to unbelievable fans that supported us, really felt a lot of pride in being part of this organization, being part of the community. My wife and I bought a home here, and it was a big part of our life here. But some unbelievable teammates. One for sure I want to mention, Craig Sharon, who's passed away now, was my roommate on the road. Craig was my roommate on the road, my centerman. Was an unbelievable little player. He was one of the leading scorers that year, but most importantly, he was just an unbelievable teammate and father, and he's missed. So Sharky, I'm sharing this with you tonight, so thanks, pal. I'd like to say a quick hello to Wendy, and his kids are here tonight. It means a lot to me to have them here. I feel like they're kind of part of my family. Most importantly, I'll wind this up, just very, very honored, humbled. I think there's a lot of players that were better players than me along the way. Just feel extremely honored and privileged to be part of not just the Hall of Fame, but part of the Amerks uniform. I know our team over here right now is playing great hockey, and I hope they have that same kind of pride in the playing here for this great hockey town, you great hockey fans. So thank you to my wife for all her support along the way. Unbelievable organization, unbelievable fans. I'll never forget my years here, and I really appreciate this honor. Thank you so much.
Over the years, Rochester Americans have been blessed to have so many great captains, and certainly Dane Jackson, one of the best. And ladies and gentlemen, it is with a great deal of personal pride that I present to you the newest members of the Rochester Americans Hall of Fame, the class of 2013, Rich Funky and Dane Jackson.